Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Look at the dawn. Not just the light breaking through, but the weight that's lifting with it. This isn't the beginning of something gentle. This is the moment your quiet becomes undeniable. Not everyone will see it yet, but you feel it. And that feeling isn't nerves. It's truth waking up inside you. The world loves a soft story of healing. But yours has edges. Yours came with a cost. You didn't float to this moment. You bled for it in the dark, where no one clapped and no one asked. You walked through rooms that questioned your presence and stayed anyway. You gave more than was fair. You forgave more than was safe. And when the world misread your silence for surrender, you let them, because you knew something they didn't. You were becoming whole in secret. They tried to make you believe your discomfort was dysfunction, but that ache in your spirit wasn't weakness. It was resistance. It was your soul refusing to comply with anything less than the truth. You weren't breaking down. You were breaking from it. And now the world around you is starting to feel that shift, even if they can't name it. You don't need revenge. You don't need an announcement. But what you're carrying now, it doesn't need noise to be felt. It radiates. They called it distance, but it was protection. They said you changed. But really you stopped shapeshifting. And now the frameworks they use to measure you are collapsing. Not because you destroyed them, but because you finally stopped shrinking to fit inside them. The old rules no longer apply. The timelines you were forced into are dissolving. And the person you were always meant to be, the one they tried to talk you out of, is no longer asking for permission. This version of you doesn't speak to be understood. They speak when it matters. They move with meaning. They don't correct the narrative. They become undeniable in its presence. And that's what they feel now. Not anger, not bitterness, but the sheer weight of your alignment. This isn't a comeback. This is a complete reset of the atmosphere. You've outgrown the apology version of yourself. You no longer explain your standards. You no longer beg for space. You are the space. You are the clarity that no longer waits for validation. You didn't just go quiet. You evolved past the volume they were comfortable hearing. Let that settle, because the ones who once relied on your self-doubt won't know how to meet this version of you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're unrecognizable. And they'll be right, but not because you became something else, because you stopped hiding the truth you always carried. You are no longer at the mercy of other people's comfort zones. You are no longer making yourself small enough to be tolerated. That season is over. You're not fighting for visibility anymore. You're standing in it, and when people feel this energy around you, they'll respond in one of two ways. They'll retreat, confused by a presence they can no longer manage. Or they'll rise, drawn to the same truth that rebuilt you. But either way, the silence has ended. You are no longer pacing inside the version of yourself built for their acceptance. You are stepping fully into the one built by your own fire. The moment has come, and it won't look how they imagined it. Because what's rising now isn't for show. It's not performance. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about never needing to again. You didn't disappear. You reappeared in your full design. And that design was never built to fit into the version of reality they forced you to accept. You were never too much. You were never too sensitive. You were never too intense for the room. The room was too dim for someone carrying light as ancient as yours. You tried to bend. You tried to explain. You tried to earn your way into spaces that were never even built to recognize you. But now you've stopped trying. Not because you've given up, but because you finally remembered who you are. The version of you that used to wait for timing? Gone. The one who held back to avoid conflict? Released. The one who accepted half-hearted love because it felt safer than solitude? Buried. And from that burial came something immortal. Because this isn't rebirth in theory, this is embodiment. This is the moment your life becomes unmistakably yours. You're not climbing toward identity. You're radiating from it. You're no longer seeking your worth in mirrored eyes. You're holding it in your body like heat, and now they feel it. The very people who used to doubt you are shifting. Not because you demanded anything, but because your existence is now incompatible with anything false. You don't even need to shut doors anymore. Your vibration handles the lock. Some people will leave on their own, not because you're unkind, but because your clarity exposes their noise. Some opportunities will dry up, not because you're failing, but because your frequency no longer calls them in. You're not being punished. You're being repositioned. Everything that isn't built for your next level is falling away. Quietly, precisely, perfectly. Not as a loss, but as proof. Proof that you are no longer accessible in your previous form. Proof that your becoming was never dependent on their recognition. Proof that your power doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being real. You were never the underdog. You were the unseen architect, the silent force, the frequency they couldn't name but couldn't ignore. And now they can't look away, because the version of you they thought they could mold has vanished. And what's left is fire, a fire that no longer burns for approval, a fire that doesn't chase closure, a fire that stands still and makes everything around it reconsider its form. So if you feel the stretch right now, if you feel untethered, strange, hard to recognize, even to yourself, that's the proof you're in the transformation. The nervous system doesn't lie. It knows when you're walking away from the cages that once felt like home. Let the discomfort come. You are not lost. You are not late. You are not unraveling. You are being recalibrated, internally aligned with a future that requires the realest version of you to show up. This isn't about them anymore. It's about what you carry. You're not meant to be relatable to everyone. You're meant to be a living contradiction to everything that told you to settle. You're meant to be misunderstood by the systems that relied on your silence. You're meant to stand in places your past couldn't imagine. Not because it proves you've made it, but because it confirms you were never broken to begin with. You're not rising to be seen. You're rising because it's time. This moment has nothing to do with hype, revenge, or proving anyone wrong. It's about alignment. It's about responsibility. It's about the weight of your presence finally clicking into place. You don't need to be dramatic. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to own it. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.